Hey, what's up, guys? We're gonna go on my journey of what got me into the genre of metal music. It wasn't my family, it wasn't my friends, because my friends at the time were listening to like Tupac and rap music. And there's no way you could go from listening to Tupac and rap music to go into listen to metal. There's no way you're influenced by a rapper to listen to metal. So my brother, for an example, I remember him listening to Marilyn Manson, and this is when we were in like little kids, and we were still sharing a bedroom. We were still, well, I was like 8 years old, and he was like maybe high school age, maybe, and we were just sharing a bedroom because we had a small place where we were living at the time. So I would hear him sometimes playing Antichrist Superstar, and I remember that clearly hearing the Beautiful People do 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 do. And I was like, that's cool. What is that? And I thought, hearing that, I was like, damn, that's crazy. That's heavy. But I didn't understand what that was at the time. All I knew is it was a heavy, aggressive riff. So every time my brother was away, went to school, or was at a friend's house, I'd pop that CD in the CD player and listen to it. And this is when you could order CDs through the mail. Like, see, hey, what up, guys? If you guys know me, you know my channel. These are two iconic albums that pretty much done everything for me. These are the two albums. I'm not exactly sure exactly, I can't remember exactly which of these two albums got me into metal, but I know it was these two albums that got me into metal. I can't say if I bought Master of Puppets before I bought Megadeth, but I remember opening the thing up, and I remember looking at the booklet, which you can't get that with your MP3s anymore. And I was so amazed how a band was playing in front of like 100,000 people. And I was like, that is crazy. That's when you know a band is amazing, you know. And you just look at these guys, and I was like, damn, those are guys who love what they're doing. And you see Cliff Burton with the finger flipping you off. But nothing is more iconic than seeing this album when it first came out. And I picked it up, I was probably around 10, 11 years old when this album came out. So I didn't really understand what metal music was. I was just listening to it, and I thought that was the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I was like, yeah, there ain't nothing heavier than this. And every time someone would say, yeah, I listen to metal, or I listen to heavy music, I'd always, and to be honest, I never heard anything heavier than that up to that time. And then I had a friend of mine who was really, really big into Korn, and he was trying to explain to me how heavy Korn was and how brutal and how melodic they were. And I first would listen to him at his house because he would listen to him on MTV when they used to have Headbangers Ball. And I was like, dude, that is heavy. That is a lot heavier than Metallica. Just like the groove, the heaviness, it was crazy. And we always got a kick out of listening to Fieldy with his little slap bass. I was like, that is crazy. So metal music is not just fast and aggressive. There is some heavy chunkage to it, and then one of my friends introduced me to the band Pantera, and at the time I was probably 15 or 16, going into 9th or 10th grade, and he's like, dude, listen to Pantera. And for me, I had no clue that Pantera was around for almost 20 years before I ever even heard about him. And the very first song I've ever heard was Cowboys from Hell. And I was like, dude, what is up with this? And then I listened to Cemetery Gates, Walk This, what is it, Walk? Do 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 wham do 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 walk. And I was like, damn, you can't get heavier than this, because they were taking stuff that I loved by Metallica and Megadeth and just had a big heavy groove. So I was like, that's where I think Korn got their kind of groove sound from, because this band was very groovy. They weren't overly fast, but they weren't overly slow either. And very first time I ever heard the name Cowboy, I was like, oh, okay, this is probably some like country shit, because I didn't understand they were from Texas and they were just Cowboys from Hell. I didn't understand the whole concept. But when you open up the CD you see it had great artwork. You have the booklet, and it just overall screamed metal. But I didn't realize at the time that they've been around since the early 90s. And you're a young kid, you're like, your parents or your friends are like, hey, I got a CD from 1990. They're like, oh, I don't want to listen to them old school, that's garbage. Now, I love listening to older bands. And in the summer of 2004, I ended up getting this autographed by the man himself, Zakk Wylde. I have 2 actual CDs by this band, or this actual album. And this one has never been played before because it's an autographed signed copy. So it's always to sit in the thing. I've never took it out of the case. As you can see, it's in perfect condition. And I'm always proud of myself for meeting Zakk Wylde. It was either meet Zakk Wylde or watch Killswitch Engage. And I really thought at the time that I could meet Zakk Wylde and Killswitch Engage are still going to be performing and their set isn't going to be over. But the thing was, so many people were meeting Zakk Wylde that day in Black Label Society that I never got to see Killswitch Engage. And my friends were all hyped up how great the band was. And I was like, man, because I actually do love Killswitch Engage over Black Label Society. But I was disappointed that. And around 2004, 2005, I got into Disturbed, which later became my favorite metal band of all time. I don't know what it is about Disturbed, but their music has always had that influence on me. It's heavy, but not too heavy. They have great vocals and great riffs, but for me, Disturbed has always hit home. They write about good stuff that a lot of people can relate to. They're a great band. You hear them in live concerts on YouTube. You see them in live videos, and they always sound like they should, like a band that should be kicking ass and taking names. Not a band that when you hear them live, you can't hear them. Like, you can't understand them because they don't sound like they do on the record. And Disturbed sounds 99% like the record. And I'll say this, every single album up to their new album, so I think that's like, 4 albums, have always been like 99% hits. And when I first heard Killswitch Engage, I actually did not like them at all, because a buddy of mine who plays bass actually brought it to my house and put it on. And it wasn't this album particularly, it was the album before this with their singer Jesse. And he's like, listen to this, and I was like, nah, I'm not into that. I thought metalcore style of metal was garbage, and I wasn't really into the loud screaming vocals. Like I said, I was just getting into Disturbed and Korn and Pantera, and he brings this along, and I was like, this just sucks. I'm not in. That was what I was really introduced to metal, that metalcore genre, because I think they're one of the few bands that do metalcore that I really enjoy. And as you can see, the case is messed up because I've had this CD ever since it came out. I'm a CD junkie, not an MP3 guy. And then I got into Lacuna Coil. And the reason I got into Lacuna Coil and how I got into this band is it was definitely a late night of staying up, because Headbangers Ball came on at, I think it was like midnight or 1 in the morning. So they started to play metal, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to listen to Headbangers Ball and see what Headbangers Ball is all about. And what I found out is Lacuna Coil came on, and they're playing Heaven's a Lie. And I was blown away, because I never really heard females at that time being in an aggressive band, being in a band that is heavy. You guys could say what you want about Lacuna Coil. You might not be into women that are vocalists, but I was just blown away of their aggressiveness, their heaviness, and their overall enjoyment of the music, because you could see them in their video when they were riffing, they were going off, headbanging, and enjoying themselves. And I got to meet them in 2004, but back then, this was before everybody had cell phones with cameras on it. This is before you would carry a vlogging camera around. So I'll say this, we were hanging out, and I was like more of the DJ type person. I was playing music, And I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I was like, hey, where's my Lacuna Coil CD? It was autographed. And my friend goes, I don't know. I was in my room. And apparently this fat chick stole it, and when I went to confront her, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to confront me because I'm fat. Come on, I'm not going to steal your shit. And I was like, yeah, I'm confronting you, bitch, because you stole my stuff. And I don't let people touch my stuff because I'm very paranoid that people are going to jack me. That's why I don't trust people. And I don't trust you. Why are you touching stuff that doesn't belong to you? And she's like, well, you ain't gonna touch me. You ain't gonna look in my house. You ain't gonna come through my purse and look at my stuff because I ain't stealing your stuff. And apparently, what I found out is from my friend, she did steal it. But the CD was so fucking scratched up that I didn't even want the shit back. Because it was this album right here. This is the album that I had that was autographed. And it still pisses me off to this day that I'm the one who waited in line at Ozzfest 2004 to meet a band that was pretty new at the time, like new in America anyway, and I get it jacked. And there's one more album, not an album, but I'll just say an artist that I really started getting into, like I said, not when I was younger, but when I was about 15, 16, in about 2000, 2003, 2000. Everybody would always tell me, dude, Trevor, you should be playing either Metallica on the guitar or your bass, or you should be playing Ozzy songs. And that's what I don't understand is when you always see a guitar player or a bass player, it's always Metallica or Black Sabbath they want you to play. So as always, guys, remember to rate, even if you hate, comment, subscribe, and what got you into this so-called aggressive music.